G'day guys, welcome to Military Arts. I'm Phil Bravery, and today I'd like to show you a Lee Enfield carbine. Now, this is one of three variants that the English cavalry used during the Second Boer War. The first one being the Lee Metford carbine. Now, while all three variants look very similar, there were some subtle differences. Firstly, the Lee Metford. It had a sling bar just behind the ID disc, and it had a D-ring on the left-hand side of the collar for a lanyard. The idea being, if you dropped it, it didn't fall to the ground. You could regather yourself and you're back in action. The main thing is, with the naming of it, is the Metford. That portrays to Metford rifling that these came out with.
As you can see in this diagram, the Metford rifling is a lot flatter, whereas the Enfield is a lot sharper. The Enfield was obviously for the new cartridges, the new smokeless cartridges, where the Metford was designed originally around black powder cartridges.
So the Lee Metford carbine also had a hole milled into the nose cap for provision for a clearing rod. We can then move on to what we actually have here today, which is the Lee Enfield Mark I carbine. It was first produced in 1896 and ran through to 1900. This has actually got a build date of 1896 stamped onto the collar. It too has a hole in the nose cap for a clearing rod. However, it was May 1899, I think. Orders came out to remove the clearing rods and no longer issue them for both the carbines and the rifles. I can understand it on the carbine. These things were kept in a bucket at the front of the saddle, so you'll pull them in and out, and the idea of that clearing rod was probably just another thing that was going to snag and make your life more difficult, trying to put it back into the bucket. With the Enfields over the Metford, they changed, they removed the D-ring from the collar for the lanyard, as they did the sling bar, which was behind the ID disc. So now you drop it, you lost it. I do believe, however, there was a modification of a wrist sling. So a sling went around the wrist of the carbine. Following this one, the last model variant was the Lee Enfield Carbine Mark I Star. And there was only one difference. And you guessed it, no hole in the nose cap. That was it. To give you an idea of the numbers of the full production of the three variants, the Lee Metford, there was around 18,700 units made. The Lee Enfield Mark I, there were 13,500 around that made. In the Lee Enfield Mark I Star, there was a whopping 26,650 odd made of them. So you're looking at about 60,000 units of the three variants for the period of time they were produced. Now, this particular Lee Enfield Carbine Mark I has its own personal history, and we were fortunate enough to be able to discover some of it. Firstly, as I stated before, this one was made in 1896, so it was one of the first ones made. It was issued to Queen Mary's Regiment, the 18th Hussars Sea Squadron, on the 5th month, 1898. We believe it was lost in action on or about the 18th to the 20th of October, 1899, in the Battle of Adelaide Farm. I think it was this book I got the information from. There was 5 killed in action and umpteen wounded, and around 100 taken prisoner. So this old girl could have been lost by anybody. Now, it was subsequently picked up by the Boer, who started carving the coat of arms, Transvaal coat of arms in the back of it. But we believe it was picked up by an Australian unit not long after, because the carving didn't get finished. And I'll get in a little bit more of that in a minute. I was fortunate enough to take this thing down to Ian Skellington and to do an evaluation on it. And he picked up a couple of things that I'd missed that only Ian could pick up on. Firstly, the rear sight. It belongs to a rifle. It's not belonging to a carbine, and it's believed to be a battlefield modification. The magazine, I did realise, it's supposed to have a 6-shot magazine, fish belly, but this has got the 8-shot single stack magazine out of a rifle, not a carbine. I'll bring the camera a little bit closer and we'll let you have a look at these carvings and the ID disc at a nice close-up of them. Before we do that, we better make it safe for YouTube, keep them happy. See, YouTube, I'm being very good and responsible. So it's, you know what, let's just remove the bolt. That'll be an easier way since we're going to be moving it around. So as we can see on our disc here, we've got a issuing date of the 5th month, 1898, 18th Hussars, C Squadron, and a rack number of 375. So there's our disc again, bit of a cartouche remains thereof. Then we move along here, we have a carving of FHH, there's some initials there, HJ. And we come along here, we have start to get some writing here for Krista. Got it all written down. And we have some other place names here. Sorry guys, this camera work is pretty horrible. There's a nice clear one. Krikaluf in Brantford. And we move on to the other side. We have the starting of a carving of the coat of arms for the ZAR. We have, where is it? There it is, Tran. Yeah, TRAN, you make of it what you will. We have those initials again, HJ. And we come along here to the collar. So you got your build date of 1896, Queen Victoria. It's the Mark 1. Here's an interesting one that we picked up on. Now, Ian reckons that this is made from using the carbine at rest against a blockhouse wall. He's seen it on a few different examples over the years, and he is very sure that's what that's about. I've got a big fascination for the Boer War period, and I've been lucky enough to collect a few items from there. These are just a couple of things from my writing room. This book here has been a great help. It's actually from the 18th Hussars. It's a diary written by one of the commanding officers in the 18th Hussars at the period of time. I've used the basic book of knowledge. I also was able to use a lot of Ian Skellington stuff, a lot of great information in there. Another book that I've been using, which the diagram for the rifling came from, is this one by Ian Petrello, British Service Rifles and Carbines, 1888 to 1900. It was very interesting as well. I've got to thank Ian Skellington for his input. Without his input, it would have been near impossible to produce this video for you guys with the amount of information, although it's not a lot in this video. If you want to find out a lot more about carbines or English carbines, I suggest you might want to tune into Ian McCallum's Forgotten Weapons. He does a great few videos on carbines and other interesting militaria from history. Anyway, thank you for watching this to the end. I know it's been a while since I did a video. August last year, was that about 7 months ago. I hope to be able to get a few more done this year. The next one I might be able to get done pretty quickly on a Colombian Mauser. I also have a Martini Henry that I want to bring to your attention at some stage. But until then, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye.